So I'm here to give my quick thoughts on Vixen, the animated series, or just the movie itself. The show was released in 2015, and before the show's initial release, I was excited to see the show because it was going to be about a fresh DC character getting their own animated series. I never read much about Vixen myself, however, I did see her on Justice League Unlimited, where she was the love interest for John Stewart, the Green Lantern. The show premiered on the CW Seed and was supposed to be connected to the CW and DC shows, which I don't care for anymore. Sorry, but shows like Arrow and The Flash had really gone downhill during their later seasons, and I haven't turned back to watch their shows ever since, other than a few reviews of the shows themselves, which were mostly complaints. Legends of Tomorrow I could never get into, and Supergirl I've always found to be very cringeworthy since the first episode. These soap opera melodrama comic book shows are just not my type of shows. And I wasn't even the biggest fan of Smallville either, because while there was a lot of good, it also had its problems, including Lana Lang, oh gosh. The only show I did like from the CW/WB was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But I'm not going to talk about the CW shows here. That'll be saved for a future video. So I was excited to see the fresh DC character getting her own series, only to find out that the episodes were going to be 4 to 6 minutes long. That's right, not even 11 minutes long, which I'm not even a fan of that format for plot-driven action animated shows. But we're not going to get into that. Since then, I did not want to watch a series that was going to be 4 to 6 minutes long. But since it's kind of a forgotten show, I decided to watch the full series on a movie format version of the full series on Blu-ray, which would have made a lot more sense if they just gave Vixen her own movie instead of weekly short episodes on the CW Seed, just saying. But onto my review. Originally from Africa, Marie McCade grew up an orphan after her parents were killed by local greed, corruption, and wanton violence. But Marie refuses to succumb her terror surrounding her. Inheriting her family's Tantu totem, Marie can access the powers of animals, anything from strength of a gorilla to speed of a cheetah. As Vixen, she fights valiantly to protect the world from threats like the claim of her family. Vixen has a heirloom, a totem necklace that gives her the powers of animals. Although Vixen has appeared on Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow, these powers are easier to show and more impressive animated. The abbreviated storytelling like the original show have only 5-minute episodes. Doesn't explain where she got the fighting skills she demonstrates or how the animal abilities protect her human body from damage, but I think the ultimate answer is that it's all magic. After the first half an hour, which covers her origin story and attendance to her heritage, Marie goes to work in the zoo to learn more about animals. There she assists her boss who is being blackmailed. Later, she helps the Flash fight the Weather Wizard. And there's a magical plot totems being found and stolen. That piece has guest appearances from Black Canary and the Atom from Arrow. Now, for my final thoughts of the series, I do kind of like it, but it left me wanting more simply for the fact that the show was so short-lived, and that the episodes of the show were so short that it hurt the enjoyment of the show for me. But watching the whole series in a movie format, I can definitely say it was pretty decent. Season 1 of Vixen was a bit of a bore fest for me, as it was just a standard origin story. But Season 2 is a massive improvement as there's a lot more going on in that season. The animation is great and very similar to Young Justice. If you're a person that's a fan of Young Justice animation style, you're going to love this animation here. The villains in the show were okay, but I felt they could have been a lot better and fleshed out if the episodes were 22 minutes and had a little more episodes for each season. Vixen herself is a pretty decent protagonist as you get to know more about her in the first season, and does develop pretty nicely into a heroine in the second season. It would have been nice to see more of her in the show, but the show ended, and I know she was on the CW live action version, but I really don't want to sit through watching Legends of Tomorrow. All in all, Vixen the animated series is not a bad show or movie. It would have been nice if the show were 22 minutes long, but that's DC for you. Vixen, the animated series, gets a 7.1 out of 10. This is Red Wolf signing out, and I'll see you next time. Peace.